Welcome to Star Citizen News. My name is CTT, you know me.
And I am Infantry Lead the Way.
And today is the 18th of the 2nd, 2020, and this is this week's first news report. So, coming up today on the video, we are going to be speaking about Pillar Talk, the extension of the 2019 CitizenCon video of the first Pillar Talk to discuss the 2020 aspects of Pillar Talk moving forward, as well as building a ship experience, which is one of the videos done by Star Citizen team, as well as next generation tech with Digital Foundry. So if you haven't seen his videos, we're going to put a link in the description below. Now, just before we go any further, ILW, you noticed something on the new set that shouldn't be here.
I see that there's bobbleheads everywhere. Where the heck are all these bobbleheads coming from?
Okay, so I was looking for a thumbnail, right, for one of our videos, and unfortunately I accidentally downloaded some mal script, and that script has then placed itself all over our set. So it's a bit of a virus as such, and we have had some exterminators in, and we are working on the issue consistently, and hopefully over the next weeks to come we should have completely eliminated and exterminated the vermin that still seems to be reproducing on our new set at the moment. So I do apologise, but these are teething issues with the new set, and yeah, these bobblehead vermin seem to be trying to make a mainstay on our channel, which is not going to be the case for very much longer, I promise you. So anyway, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so let's just get straight to the video.
No, just Brian.
Okay. Alright, we rolling?
I always thought it was close when they were first saying it. You guys.
Okay. Welcome to the longer term Pillar Talk. This is a conversation about what will be coming beyond 3.8, so 3.9, 4.0, and potentially beyond. We showed stuff at CitizenCon. Let's talk a little bit about those aspects of what's going to be coming this year in terms of that.
The server OCS stuff is a fundamental piece of the puzzle that we needed to solve in order to affect server meshing. What it doesn't do is allow you to transition from server to server. Therefore, each server is still effectively an island where you have a certain number of players, and they can basically go anywhere in that solar system, but they can really only directly interact with other players on that server. And we do give some mechanisms, like when you join parties and stuff, you're given the option to jump over to the server and another player. But what you don't see is things like when I request personal transport, or I request a combat assist, or when I need something that another player could potentially contribute, whether it's via service beacon or whatever else, there's no way for players on other servers to just automatically see that and then basically accept, and then now you two players are basically joined together so that when you go to this location, you're going to wind up automatically transitioning to whatever server he's on. And so it's still a bunch of isolated pockets for now, and that's what still remains to be done in the future, which is allow players to seamlessly move back and forth.
But one of the server OCS, one of the abilities to do that server meshing that we've talked about is the functionality of what we have, which server OCS will deliver, is necessary for the meshing. What has to happen is each server, if they're all different viewpoints on the same star system, for instance, we're all linked, we're all playing, that having that server be able to go anywhere and just only deal with that aspect is exactly what you need to have that first, and then the server meshing is stage 2, because then you glue all these servers together that can dynamically have viewpoints around, and they all talk to each other.
That's why I said it was a foundational piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so Tony got it right, and then Chris crucified it. Okay, yeah, SSOCS is happening. It is the foundational platform for server meshing to work. Everything I've already said. I was wrong video. Please watch it. You'll see. I'm going to pass it over to ILW because, I've done my two, Bob.
So this is just real quick, and I've noticed Citizen TED Talk, he talks about how Chris Roberts has been moved from the project. And I don't believe that he's been removed from the project. Maybe he has decided to take some type of step back to go into a type of creative consultant. But as far as he's been removed from the project, I don't believe that. But You know, I didn't notice, and CTT kept saying it, but I never noticed it for myself. In the background, it says CitizenCon 2949. So, and you can see that this is the same building where they actually shot CitizenCon. So it just grows to wonder, you know, as we see more pillar talks, are they all going to be on CitizenCon 2949? If so, why are all the pillar talks only shot at CitizenCon 2949? That kind of actually leads to Citizen Tech Talk's argument that he's actually been removed from the project, and the only time he's able to shoot is once a year when they're all together. As far as server meshing is concerned, I have some issues with the way that they're talking about. For instance, I accept the service beacon and I'm on one server and then I transition to another server. You know, what happens to player counts? What happens when you do a server beacon on a server that's full? Do you, who created the beacon, go onto an empty server and you bring 10 people with you on your spaceship, and you're on a server that has 45 out of 55, 45 out of 50, what exactly happens? If there's only 5 spots left from the server and your ship has 10 people, what happens to the other 5 people on the ship? Maybe you transition to a different server. Maybe a new server is spooled up. But Jesus, how many servers are going to have to be spooled up to do this tech? The whole issue that I have with this tech is they need to go in more detail about it. 2 minutes of discussion about server meshing isn't enough to talk about how it works, because it's all new tech. It's never before done before, and I just need to know more about it.
Well, I would direct you to the Crash Boss video all the way through to Can They Fix It? Just saying, mate. Look, as you know, I've covered this extremely heavily, technically and factually. I've even given you case representations of white papers and how the industry would apply this technology, and how it's not really a viable thing at the moment because of, just as ILW just said himself through his own admission from the other side of this argument, is that there's no way it can be done. The amount of servers, you'd have to literally take up a whole cloud farm just to run Star Citizen. Is that going to happen? No. The astronomical overhead cost, and where's the money going to come from for that? Anyway, ILW, you got anything else to say on this?
No, I would bring it up. Why is this video being released in February, but it was shot at CitizenCon? That kind of doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
Sorry, I had to jump in. Because Chris isn't on the project anymore. He's just a creative consultant.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see. I'm eager to see the next Pillar Talk, because if the next Pillar Talk is at CitizenCon, that's going to start to make me ask some questions of why are all these videos only being shot once a year at the same place? And if you look at the time, they're all going to be daytime as well. But I understand that they work during the day. But we'll go back to the videos and we'll archive them all and look at them and look at the sky and see if it's the same sky cast on the same day as CitizenCon, and see if all these videos of 3.9 are all shot on all these videos of all the upcoming Pillar Talks were all shot on the same day. That'd be really concerning.
Yeah, totally, mate, totally. All right, so let's move forward. Let's bring it up to this point of conjecture in the video. Now, you have Tony later on in this video that you'll be seeing his hands and his body language and facial expressions getting extremely aggravated and frustrated by Chris Roberts, and him physically demonstrating that. But for right now, I want to show you something that Sean did. Now, my takeaway is, inverted commas, it's not possible. And shaking his head like this at the same time, but really we're talking like this a little tiny little bit, you know, it's not possible. Anyway, about to see. Now, ILW will be chopping the bit on this, and he has a completely different opinion. So let's look at the syllables used in this, because I just want to demonstrate something for the audience. And hey, guys, at the end of this, please feedback. I'm starting to believe that, you know, ILW maybe has some merit there and some credit, and he might be right. I'm still the skeptic, and I have to say something skeptical in this situation. So bear with me, please. So let's quickly play this, and then ILW will give you his rundown, and I'll give you mine.
But if the players themselves can also be doing their stuff and creating outposts or base, then this whole world becomes...
Now, that looks like not possible. We'll go back one more time, because I know ILW is going to jump all over this like peanut butter jelly. So,
but if the players themselves can also be doing their stuff
and creating very closely base, Sean's
then
lips.
This whole world becomes alive.
Not possible, right?
Speaking of the
okay. ILW, I'll let you take it away. because I know you're literally chewing on your microphone.
So I've said it before. It's only 4 syllables. Not possible's 4 syllables. What he said was 3 syllables. You can just look at the mouth. You can hear the actual words. Now that I've heard it for maybe the 20th time, I think he said awesome. Awesome. That's what I think he said. Awesome. Whispered him to himself. If you play it back one more time and listen for awesome. Listen for that.
We're going to be working hard, and we build tools to populate this stuff and put outposts. But if the players themselves can also be doing their stuff and creating outposts or bases, then this whole world becomes alive and breathing. And speaking of the resources and the collecting, so one thing we didn't...
Awesome. That's it. That's what he said.
Okay, guys, please pop off in the comments. Let's get a full-on discussion about this. No one goes awesome. I'm sorry, they go awesome, right? Anyway, let's move forward because this will turn into an argument over something Sean Tracy said, which we never need to argue about. Okay, so let's move on to the latter part of the video.
Probably one of like the 2 or 3 most, of all the solar systems planned, one of the 2 or 3 most difficult in terms of 4 planets, 12 moons.
Four landing zones.
It's the landing zones. Yeah,
it's the landing zones.
But if we'd started...
Pyro's a lot lighter weight.
Well, the point I'm making is it's forced us to basically deal with a lot of the most complicated problems sooner in the process, so that going forward now, we've got a solid foundation to deal with, any quantity of content, decoupling, the frame rate from necessarily, how much stuff needs to be loaded by any given server and things.
And also the Planet Tech V4 is allowing them to, Pyro, I think has
6 or 7 planets.
6 or 7 planets.
And then a lot of moons.
I think we're only going to have a couple of landing zones, but it's not, it doesn't have the population density of Stanton, but there's a lot of places you can visit. But, we have the tools, and we'll probably be, Pyro is sort of a hotter system. So we're going to have, that's where the active status comes in.
Everything has been, I just feel like we're starting to really coalesce everything, right? And that's what really excites me for this year.
So let's talk a little bit about the jump point side of it.
The jump points are a way for us to introduce new things into that solar system, because again, Pyro or Stanton shouldn't have everything that it needs. It should be pulling in from other solar systems. So that's introduces new things for the economy, and then obviously once in Stanton or Pyro, when we start opening other jump points, then that basically really starts messing with the economy, or it creates new opportunities for the players to run missions or do other aspects of gameplay that they find interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, before we go any further, what I picked up on is Pyro is going to be a volcanic planetary solar system. There's not going to be any opportunity to just go land on the planet and run around. Okay, you're going to literally get vaporized. So the landing platforms they're talking about are going to be within, I'd say, asteroid belts, small moons, things like that are non-volcanic. The gameplay for exploration or for commerce, they're talking about the economy and things like that. The only thing you're going to probably pick up, from my opinion, mate, is the mining side of it, and obviously your smuggling and your PvP element. And this is something that concerns me greatly about Pyro being the only new solar system instead of Nyx coming on board as well. So I thought it was Pyro. Nyx was meant to come out in 2020. That was the whole thing for CitizenCon 2949, was that we got Pyro and Nyx. So people who wanted to go PvP had Pyro, and people that wanted to do mining, farming, exploration, all the other stuff basically, including economy and drug making, of course, was Nyx. So I am a bit confused to where that's going. But my great concern right now is that it is going to become a lawless, as we know, PvP arena. And I don't think that's a good idea at this stage of development, because it's going to create a shit ton of toxicity in the community that, we've already got enough of that. We want to dilute that. I feel that there's a lot of people going to camp, a lot of people going to bully, harass, threaten, and obviously, camp and hunt people down constantly and just kind of chase them wherever they go after going into the PvP arena. But anyway, I'll pass you on to ILW because he's got a bit of a stark idea to me, but it is something that I find of a great concern, and something that I do believe will eventuate and become a massive issue until we get, obviously, further solar systems in situ. Anyway, over to you, ILW.
So I'm in complete disagreement again. So My first disagreement is with landing on planets. I think you will be able to land on planets. The only caveat is you'll need the status system, special armor, resistance against heat. You may have to have special shielding for your ship to take the ship down, because the ship will probably take damage from the heat. But you could probably build a base on the planet with built in the little base building ship, whatever it's called. I can't think of it right now. With heat materials built into that. So I think you actually can live on the planets. I think this system actually really is needed, and it's the next system that should be released, because it's going to bring in the risk reward gameplay. Okay. And it's going to have a lot of players, like a lot. When they say, oh, it's going to be very sparse on players, I'm in complete disagreement. I think players in starter ships will find home better in the stand-up system. Players and fighters in mid-game ships, late-game ships, they're going to find really, really profitable runs in these lawless systems, because they're going to have the risk and the reward. They're going to have the most valuable asteroids. They're going to have the most valuable the most valuable locations to discover. Stanton has already been discovered because it's so safe and everybody already flies around it. All right. Pyro is unsafe. There's less people out there. There's more to discover. The exploration gameplay is going to be out there. The mining gameplay is going to be out there. More science is going to need to be done out there, because, again, it's less traffic to the system. Less people have been through the system. There's more to discover, more to do, more rare minerals to transport. So Pyro is going to be, if you're a mid-game or in-game player, is where you're going to want to be. That's where the PvPers are going to, because everything's so valuable that you're going to have to fight over it. You're going to want to say, oh, this is my asteroid belt. I bring security not just for me, but to patrol the belt and to kill anybody else that's trying to mine in this belt. So this is the new level of gameplay. So we have safe gameplay and we have unsafe gameplay. That's why Pyro is needed. For the unsafe gameplay, for the systems, for the planets that can fully utilize the new actor status system with new dangerous environments. Oh, they've never been more dangerous. Think about Microtech. They said the moons on Microtech are more dangerous than all the other ones. Just like Microtech itself has a cold status effect. As the places you go get more dangerous, it gets more rewarding. Go ahead, CTT.
Yeah, on gameplay-wise, and yes, PvP is big part of what's happening right now with the game itself. As we know, it'll be more likely end up as more of an majority NPC-based game, and there'll be parts of, obviously, at the Outer Rim that are going to be PvP-focused, probably around Jian and Banu space on the right-hand side of the star map. But there are going to be parts down near Vandal space that are going to have a high amount of mineral value, smuggling value, trade value through the Banu, and be able to totally escape the UEE's gaze. And there's going to be a lot of that kind of gameplay, and that's going to be fantastic. That's what my organisation, up until the time now, put it on hold for now until we actually have a need for orgs. I'll relaunch it and get it all up, and we'll get that going when the time comes. But my organisation specifically deals with that gameplay mechanic, and I'm super excited for that. But in the short term, Pyro, I just feel there are going to be a lot of people taking a lot of gripes out against people. People won't be able to just comfortably explore. If you just go back to the days of Grim Hex, they can't explore around the asteroid belt because they get ganked. You go to Grim Hex to even explore it, you get ganked. You have a crime stat, you go to Grim Hex, you can't get out of Grim Hex because you're getting ganked from the platform, or the landing pad. So my great concern is that Pyro is just going to become a pirate haven, which is kind of cool, I guess. So I do like piracy a bit, and at the same time, I just feel that it's going to draw the worst elements to that sector of space in the short term once it is fully released. And it is going to frustrate a lot of players, and a lot of complaints are going to start going to Spectrum about some form of moderation with, these problem maker game players who are just bored, and you can't blame them. They've been waiting 8 years. So there's just going to be people who want to take some frustrations out and some anger out. I get that, but I just think some people are going to go too far and, go down the wrong pathway with it and become spiteful and make this a personal issue instead of just a gaming issue. But anyway, ILW is just telling me in the background that he would love to continue to add to this discussion, so just give me a second. ILW, over to you.
So his concern, it's valid. but it's kind of exactly what it's supposed to be. It's like, oh, it's kind of like when you go on the forum and you say, oh man, the game is so buggy and all this, your first response is it's an alpha. Well, with Pyro, when you go and complain, the response is going to be, well, it's a pirate system. So I understand that you're concerned about players not wanting to get ganked, but in the Pyro system, unlike the standard system has comm links all throughout it, that it's monitored space. You know what's going on. If you commit a crime, you instantly get a crime stat. That doesn't happen in Pyro, because Pyro doesn't have all those comm links. Very, very few areas. And I talked with other players about this. Very, very few points in Pyro, if any, have these comm link systems. How criminals work in Pyro, it's no witnesses. How it's been planned of how it's all going to work is, if you're in a lawless system, somebody can still get a crime stat for attacking you. So when they attack you, they like register on your black box. They register on your ship. The infantry lead the way took fire from CTT. Okay, if infantry lead the way gets back to a lawed system and gives that data over the UEE, then that person gets a crime stat. If that person kills me, then and they recover my black box, then there's no way that person can get a crime stat. That's how it's supposed to work. So there's concern about piracy, about lawlessness. That's what it's supposed to be, CTT. It's supposed to be lawless. It's supposed to be piracy. It's supposed to be no hold bars, high risk, high reward gameplay. If you get ganked when you go into the Pyro system, then everything's working to plan exactly how it's supposed to.
At no stage do I disagree with that, and I'm very much looking forward to that gameplay mechanic, because as I said, that's my shit. Yeah, but I'm concerned that there are going to be more entry-level players who are not good pilots, who do not have the skills, do not have the experience in the community that we do, and to understand that, this is the game, and don't take it personal. I feel there's going to be a bit of a snowflakey kind of butthurt thing going on for at least the first 4 to 6 months. Once Pyro comes online, everyone's jumped through, and they've set themselves up on landing pads, and they get their ships blown up on landing pads, and blah 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 blah. The crime stat stuff, looking forward to it. That's what my organisation is going to be specifically focusing on, is taking out illegal activity and stuff like that in the Outer Rim, and collecting very big bounties. And smuggling a lot of drugs and things like that too. Obviously, got to make money, guys. But yeah, my main concern in the very short term is certain people are going to go a bit too far on the roleplay side of it, or the pirate side of it, and just start camping and just death squatting people for the sake of it, not because it's part of any gameplay mechanic they're trying to achieve. It's just that I want to blow you up. And that was Korea back in the day. That was definitely Grim Hex back in the day. And I was hoping we weren't going to start seeing those problems again, but it looks like inevitably we will. Until, we get Nyx on board as a secondary outer rim, outer UEE controlled space, solar system. But anyway, so be it. But I'll pass it back over to LW just to wrap up on this bit of the video, and we'll move forward.
Okay, so he says it's a bad thing. I say it's supposed to be how it's supposed to be. If you go into lawless space, you run into the dickheads, the gankers, all that. I mean, that's just a part and parcel of going into lawless space. That's just what you can expect. And if you get ganked by people that are just camping the warp gate, hopefully there'll be fleets at the warp gates, so you can't do that, because that'll be the main place people will want to camp and want to gank and want to be dickheads. And hopefully there'll be UE fleets and pirate fleets stationed there that attack anybody on site who attacks on the ship. Because and the reason I say that is because these jump gates are the entrance to commerce into your system. Why would you want an org blockading commerce into your entire system? You got to put your defensive fleet there to keep people from doing that, to make those jump points safe. And I think AI, turrets, everything out is going to be abundant at these jump points to deter players from doing that. But I think that's the main place they'll do it. Once they're in the system, I think there'll be too much going on for players just to hunt the asteroid belts and gank people, because they don't even do that at Grimhex. It's very in my place of mining, I think. Well, I've seen miners get killed and people hunt that, but that's out of 50 play sessions. I had one play session where a guy was just going down to the planets looking for people in moles, looking for people in prospectors and ganking them. It'll be more rare, and even coming across another player is going to be rare in these vast systems. But if there's ganking, that's what it's supposed to be. It's pyro. Welcome to the jungle, man. Go ahead.
Welcome to the jungle, loving it, yeah. That was my point exactly. The Gorp Gate being camped on. If they could put a UE automated NPC force, which is obviously highly skilled, level 5 skill set out of level 5s, 1 to 5, and it's javelins. And clearly, it's not going to be a contested part of space. But that was what I was kind of getting at: is people camping, ganking, and just trying to own the system, literally control the system like they did in Eve. That was what I was getting at. But anyway, let's move forward because I want to show you quickly what Tony was doing, as I mentioned before. And this is a very, very direct presentation of the frustration that the staff at CIG feel when Chris is present.
Were you going to shoot first? What are you going to do? And then that cat and mouse gameplay associated with it.
And then how about, sort of the other aspects?
Watch his hands.
Sort of, we've got, the resource.
I think to lure
whether
people
you're
into that,
extracting minerals and various that maybe you could get there that you can't get.
Yes.
That's the carrot, which is, so why would you go to this incredibly dangerous, lawless places? Like, well, there must be something. That's exactly it. It's the risk reward, which is that's where you can really make the big bucks. That's where you can make the killer return. There are some exotic materials in greater in greater quantity there than in other places. But you're going to have to be willing to get bruised in order to retrieve them.
And I think Pyro, we're not going to promise exactly what the release is, but it's going to be at some point next year. It won't be 3.9 at some point, but it's a bit early to promise because we still have to make sure a few things are going. But for instance, if you're in a system like Pyro where there probably won't be a lot of stations that you can go and get fuel, you may want to be able to collect fuel yourself with your SIP, or someone can make a good living by selling it to people in Pyro.
One of the next occupations up will be salvage, and I would expect any kind of like lawless place, a lot of conflict. You'd have a lot of debris, a lot of derelict ships, a lot of stuff to salvage, a lot of value for people that basically want to strip whether it's the hull of a ship or the internal components and things of that sort.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. So speaking of that, so we talked about lawless system, following jumping, basically jumping someone's resource area. So one thing that's definitely coming in 3.9 is prisons. So do you want to talk?
And we're going to stop there. If you saw Tony, just the body language, the aggravation, the squeezing of the hands, nearly snapping his thumb off. Chris really does get under people's skin very badly, and always, if you've noticed, he does step over people in conversation very regularly, and Sean's always just the bobblehead going, oh yeah, totally, I totally agree. No, he doesn't, not for a second. But anyway, I just want to show you a bit of video because I want you guys to see the frustration that Chris Roberts has brought to the project on top of all the good things he's done, yes, but these are the other issues people were dealing with behind the scenes, is that bad social skills. Rude, interrupting, frustrating, Chris talk, not people talk. And just him in the clouds, his head in the clouds. And we've said it a million times, I'll keep saying it. So anyway, I'll pass you on to ILW and get his input from this, and then we'll move on to the second part of the video.
So here is what CTT has said in the past, that when it comes to the ability to create the game and the ability to not create the game, but the ability to imagine, to innovate, that actually Chris Roberts is at a genius level when it comes to that. So it's okay if Chris doesn't have social skills. I think social skills aren't all necessarily needed, because as long as you're good at your job, as long as you're creative, if he says, all right, CTT says that he's the creative consultant. He's been removed from the chairman. He's just a creative consultant. Well, as long as he's a creative consultant, I don't believe that, by the way, but as long as he's very genius level and very good at his job, he doesn't need to be social. He doesn't need to have social butterflies. It makes me think of the guy that created, Internet Historian did a whole video on the guy that created No Man's Sky, and how awful, all the promises was due to his introverted personality and his awful personality when it comes to in front of the cameras and in interviews, because he was really bad at that, and he admitted that he felt really, really uncomfortable with that. But he was a really good game dev, and they say next when he made No Man's Sky next, it was next level, and it was truly what he wanted to make, and a lot of people really loved it. but he as the person had a low social skills. So you don't need to have good social skills to make good games. You just need to be good at making games, which I think Chris Roberts is. Go ahead.
Okay, put it this way. I'm going to demonstrate to you how Chris communicates. And I'm talking, and I'm talking like this, and you know, that thing with the whatchamacallit, and you know, that thing goes in there, and it comes around here, and you know, sorry, but there has to be some form of English language skills and communication skills other than Chris language, talking, world stuff, and space. Sorry, but at least the guy who made No Man's Sky had a strong grasp of the English language. Chris Roberts can barely string one sentence together without going, but. all I'm saying is that Chris needs to get his head out of the clouds. Chris needs to maybe go to some social skills courses. He can go to community college, vocational education, and or even just do some speech therapy as well to help him slow down his delivery, eloquently word things out in his mind before they come out of his mouth, tie his hands literally behind his back when he's having a meeting with people, and get him to focus on eye contact, get him to focus on the actual message he's trying to share, because this is where that frustration I've just demonstrated with Tony comes from. Because Chris is just so out there, and he's got his own little ideas which don't marry up to the actually already set milestone agenda or the technical possibilities that he's already been made aware of. It's, I think, a comprehension disability for Chris, and he's an excellent code monkey, so maybe slightly autistic, which makes obviously some of the best bloody creative people on the face of the planet, right? Autistic people are fantastic in their own way. And that's the thing, how I'd say Chris is slightly autistic, hence why the communication issues and the hands thing, right? But that's not a bad thing. Autistic people, as I said, he's an amazing code monkey, mate. Amazing. Right? And he has shown that and demonstrated that time and again in history. So maybe what he should have done is he should have been come in as the CEO, definitely, but then be in directorship of just the tech development team and let all the other stuff be managed by actual professionals, not his friends and his wife. Just saying. Anything else you want to add, mate?
So, when it comes to autistic, I don't think he's autistic. I think if you told Chris Roberts that, hey, man, there's a guy on YouTube, the Assistant TED Talk, he thinks you're autistic, I think Chris Roberts would respond, well, I think he's autistic, you know, and it would be just a name calling back and forth. So I don't think that he's actually autistic. I think he's just not well-spoken. Some people aren't well-spoken. They don't, you know, and a lot of this, it may be, and they're not reading off teleprompters. That actually helps a lot. And there's some people that just have natural gifts at this. So we're going to see in the upcoming things, I'm going to point some stuff out with Disco Lando, how he does do some very good delivery. Sandy Gardner did some very good delivery on stage, and she was very good on stage because that's kind of where she thrives. Chris Roberts may thrive in creativity and leading creativity, research and development, innovating in a project. May not thrive so much in speaking, but you know that's no fault for him. That's just not everybody is just the best at everything. He's really good at one thing, really bad at other thing. That's just how people are. So complete defense for the way he speaks. You know, if you're poor at speaking, get somebody else like Disco Lando who's really well spoken to host for you, which he did at CitizenCon. And I think he did a very fantastic job at. In a lot of aspects, he was, as CTT said, rude in other aspects. But overall, Disco Lando does a very good job. Overall, the people that now are like the voice of CIG are very well spoken. He's not the voice of CIG. As I said, as you've noticed, as we noticed in the past year, he stepped back. And you see him in less videos, less speaking. You know, Tin for the Chairman is no more. His time on camera is very, very little. When he is on camera, it's from stuff that he shot literally 5 months ago. So yeah, that's it. If you're ready to move on, so am I.
Okay, so I love your pro defense there. I love it. But coming from 10.5 years in the corporate world, Chris would have been eaten alive. Communication skills are key in any office, and you have to be able to communicate your needs to someone effectively, whether it's through a verbal medium or a written medium. He can't do either. Look, we're going to get to Huckabee in a second, and we're going to have a look at him actually being professional on the rare occasion he is, and me actually giving him some props. Shock horror, right? So just stay tuned for that.